Okay, so something pretty unusual landed in my WhatsApp back in September 2023.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a message from Amy Wong. She's the deputy director at the Hong Kong Economics and Trade Office in London, HKETO.
Okay, HKETO London. Not exactly your everyday WhatsApp contact, I guess?
Not at all. Definitely raised an eyebrow. It suggests something interesting is probably coming, doesn't it?
It usually does. Those sort of unexpected links often lead somewhere, well, unexpected.
Absolutely. And the ask was quite specific. Director General Guilford Law and his team from HKETO, they wanted to visit Copenhagen.
Right.
And they wanted to meet companies, specifically green tech and fintech companies.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, my first reaction was like, hold on, who do I even know well in those spaces? Cold outreach isn't really my thing.
Understandable.
But, I thought, okay, let's see if I can connect a few dots. Worth a shot.
Right, sure. Shows that just being willing to, help out and explore things, even if it's a bit outside your usual zone, can pay off.
It really did. So the HKETO team, they came to Copenhagen. We set up some meetings, really quite engaging ones, actually.
Okay.
And two of the companies were TEGnology, and it's spin-out TEGnology, TEGnology.
Got it. TEGnology.
We met their team, and Hao Yin, he's the founder and CEO, gave us the rundown. Company history, products, future plans. The standard pitch, really.
The usual introductory presentation?
Yeah, but even then, there was something about what they were doing. It sort of stuck with me.
Interesting. It's funny how that happens, isn't it? Even in a standard presentation, if the core idea is strong enough, it just resonates.
Totally. So fast forward a bit. Another Hong Kong connection pops up. This time, it's the HKTDC.
Ah, the Trade Development Council. Different group.
Right. And they were looking for companies for their big global competition Entrepreneur Day.
Okay.
And for some reason, TEGnology just immediately came to mind. So I suggested them, and they won. Actually won the whole thing. I remember seeing Hao Yin, the CEO, up on stage at the Hong Kong Convention Center for the award. It was genuinely exciting, a real buzz.
Wow, that's fantastic. It really says something about the potential you spotted early on, doesn't it?
I guess so.
I mean, having cool tech is one thing, but connecting it with the right platforms, getting that visibility, that's crucial.
Couldn't agree more. And the story doesn't stop there. Just recently, May 19th, 2025, so just a couple of days ago, I was at an event here in Copenhagen.
Okay.
The China-Denmark Green Research and Innovation event. And guess who was presenting again?
Let me guess. TEGnology.
You got it. TEGnology. This time it was their sales manager, your grader, on stage, showcasing their solutions, their progress.
Seeing them again like that.
Yeah, seeing them present again, it really made me think, okay, wait a minute. There's definitely something significant going on here.
That repeated presence, at important events and clearly showing progress, it definitely signals momentum, growing recognition, something real.
Which naturally brings us to what we're digging into today. What is it about TEGnology? Why are they getting so much attention, more investment, more customers, new partners? What's the core thing making them so, noteworthy?
Well, it really seems to boil down to their core innovation. They're tackling a really old problem. How do you capture thermal energy, heat, basically, especially on an industrial scale, and actually make it profitable?
Right, using waste heat.
Exactly. Lots of people have tried, but finding solutions that really scale up and make economic sense, that's been the challenge.
And their specific technology is, it sounds almost futuristic. They've got these components, right, that turn temperature differences directly into electricity.
It does sound a bit like science fiction, but it's grounded in real physics, thermal electricity.
Okay.
But the real breakthrough, the clever part, is in the materials they use and how they engineer the components to make that physical principle work efficiently and affordably at scale.
Gotcha. So our mission for this deep dive, then, is to really get under the hood. Let's try and understand the potential here. What TEGnology's solution could actually mean.
Sounds good.
Let's start with the basics, the technology itself. You mentioned thermoelectric power generation components. PEGs. For someone listening who isn't familiar, how do these things actually work? Like the nuts and bolts of it.
Okay, sure. So imagine you have two different types of materials joined together. The Seebeck effect, that's the principle TEGnology uses, says that if you heat one side of this junction and keep the other side cooler, a voltage appears across it.
A voltage just from heat difference.
Exactly. The temperature difference makes charged particles, electrons mostly, move within the materials. And that movement of charge is an electrical current. So you're literally converting heat flow directly into electricity.
And the materials they use, this seems really key. They mention groundbreaking energy materials based on elements that are, quote, abundant and non-toxic.
Yeah, and that's a huge point. In today's world, focusing on sustainability is critical. Using materials that are easy to get and don't harm the environment. That tackles major concerns you see with other energy techs.
Avoids rare earths or toxic stuff.
Precisely. Reduces reliance on resources that might be scarce or, frankly, problematic.
And these aren't just your average thermoelectric devices, are they? They seem to operate over a really wide temperature range. You mentioned negative 50 Celsius up to 250 C.
That's right. It's a very broad range.
That seems significant.
Oh, it is. It dramatically expands where you can potentially use this technology. Think about all the different industrial processes or even just outdoor environments that fall within that range.
Right. And they also mention having exclusive licenses for the materials and the manufacturing process.
That's a strong commercial advantage. Creates a barrier for competitors trying to replicate what they do. Basically, they've cornered the market on their specific approach.
Okay, so let's break down the core advantages then, the real aha moments. What makes TEGnology's tech stand out from the crowd?
Well, one really interesting feature is that their generator is bendable.
Flexible.
Bendable. How so? Unlike traditional TEGs, which are often rigid, brittle ceramic things, theirs can conform to curved surfaces. Imagine wrapping it around a hot pipe or fitting it onto an uneven engine casing.
Ah, I see. That immediately opens up applications where a flat, rigid panel just wouldn't fit, right?
Exactly. And it also makes them more durable, potentially.
Yeah.
In places with vibrations or mechanical stress, a flexible component might hold up much better than something rigid.
That makes sense. Okay, bendability, that's a big one. And circling back to the materials, environmentally friendly, abundant, that's clearly a major plus point today.
A huge win, absolutely. And beyond just the materials, the way these TEGs operate is also very clean.
How so?
Well, there are no chemical reactions involved, no combustion, no emissions. There are no moving parts either.
No moving parts. That immediately makes you think lower maintenance, longer life.
Precisely. Nothing to wear out, nothing to lubricate, and they run completely silently. So no noise pollution either.
Silent, no moving parts. And you mentioned earlier they can harvest energy from low-grade waste heat. What does that mean exactly?
Low-grade heat is basically heat at relatively low temperatures, the kind that's often just vented into the atmosphere because it's traditionally been very difficult or uneconomical to recover energy from it.
Like the heat coming off machinery, or maybe even building ventilation systems.
Exactly like that. Think of all the heat generated by industrial processes, data centers, engines, HVAC systems. Vast amounts of energy are just lost.
So TEGnology can tap into that.
That's the idea. Their ability to convert this widespread, previously wasted low-grade heat into useful electricity. Well, it has massive potential implications for energy efficiency across loads of industries. It turns an energy loss into a potential gain.
Okay, that's pretty compelling. And maybe the most eye-catching claim is about the lifespan and maintenance. They suggest continuous operation for decades without maintenance.
Decades, yes. That's a core part of their value proposition.
Wow, that seems almost too good to be true, but if it holds up...
If it holds up, it's a genuine game changer. Think about the long-term cost savings. Reduced operational expenses, minimal downtime. It completely changes the economics of using these devices.
Right. Let's connect this to something really concrete for you, listener. Powering the Internet of Things, IoT devices.
Oh, yes, a huge potential application area.
The numbers are just mind-boggling. Projections are talking about, 25 billion online IoT devices by 2025? Maybe more now.
It's an explosive growth area for sure.
And here's the crazy stat. Apparently right now, globally, we have to change something like 78 million batteries every single day just to keep current IoT devices running.
78 million a day. Wow. That really puts the scale of the battery problem into perspective, doesn't it? The logistics, the cost, the waste.
The environmental impact alone, all those batteries being made and disposed of.
It's immense.
So this is where TEGnology comes in, offering a different path. Their components could potentially power these IoT devices just by using surface heat.
Exactly. The heat generated by the device itself. Or maybe just the ambient heat in its surroundings.
So you could have a sensor, say, on a pipeline or inside a machine or even just in a building.
And it could potentially power itself indefinitely just from the waste heat it's exposed to. No more battery changes.
That eliminates a massive headache, doesn't it? Especially for devices in remote locations or places that are hard to access, or just the sheer number of sensors in a large, smart building or factory.
Absolutely. It enables truly fit-and-forget deployments. It could make IoT devices genuinely autonomous and sustainable in the long run, tackling one of the biggest practical hurdles and environmental concerns they currently face.
But it's not just about tiny sensors, is it? The potential impact seems much bigger, which probably explains all that investor and partner interest we talked about earlier.
Oh, definitely. The potential goes way beyond IoT, although that's a very compelling market.
We're talking about tapping into that low-grade waste heat on a much larger scale, right? From big industrial processes, maybe from buildings themselves. They even mention harnessing body heat.
Yes, they've explored various scales. If you think bigger picture, imagine widely adopting technologies that efficiently capture all this low-grade heat that's currently just wasted.
What would that mean?
It could lead to significant reductions in overall energy consumption for industries, for buildings, maybe even contribute to reducing carbon emissions. It points towards a more distributed, efficient, and sustainable energy system.
You know, seeing this whole thing unfold right from that first slightly strange WhatsApp message through the competition win to seeing them present again just days ago, it's been quite something. You can't help but feel a bit of, I don't know, admiration for the people involved, the persistence, the ingenuity. It feels like watching real, potentially impactful innovation happening step by step.
That personal view adds a lot of color, actually. Seeing the real-world progress, the human effort behind the technology, it definitely reinforces the potential, doesn't it? It's not just abstract science.
No, exactly. So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. What are the key takeaways? TEGnology has developed this, well, pretty groundbreaking thermal energy harvesting tech.
Right. Flexible, uses eco-friendly materials.
And it can turn heat differences into electricity efficiently, even from low-grade waste heat, across a wide temperature range.
And the potential for decades of operation without maintenance. That's key.
Which has huge implications, sustainability, efficiency, particularly for things like powering the billions of IoT devices coming online.
So what? For you listening is really this. Here's a technology that could genuinely unlock a vast, mostly untapped energy resource, waste heat, and do it profitably.
Yeah, it's not just tweaking existing things. It feels more fundamental.
It could mean a real shift. Less energy waste, more self-powered devices. A move towards smarter, more sustainable energy use overall.
Okay, so here's a final thought to leave you with. Just picture it. A world where the everyday heat around us from machines, buildings, maybe even ourselves, is constantly powering the technology we use. What completely new things might become possible then? How might that change how we innovate, or even just how we think about energy consumption day to day?
Or flip it around.
Yeah.
Think about all that low-grade heat currently just dissipating from factories, from data centers. If technologies like TEGnologies become widespread, how could that fundamentally reshape industrial design or even how we build and manage our cities?
Lots to think about there. Definitely something to ponder.